Second project of day 2 of Create-a-thon. I'm here with Erin Lawson, who's going to be doing an awesome paint pouring demonstration for us. Just to kind of give you a little recap, my name's Kara. I'm on the board of Create Community Studios. This is our 2021 Create-a-thon virtual this year. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Open Door Bookstore and Gateway Dermatology. We have a goal of raising $10,000 for the month of February, so we have about 2 to 3 days left for that. Anyone who donates this month is going to be automatically entered into an awesome giveaway. We have great local prizes from local artists and local businesses. And yeah, we really appreciate all the support. We're really happy to have you here with us, Erin. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to make a comment and I will answer those for you or find the answer for you. All right, well, have fun and you're on.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Erin Lawson. I work with the Create Community Studios, teaching acrylic paint pouring. So today I'm going to show you a demo of the process and how to get set up, and then three different techniques that you can use to do this paint pouring process. So I'm just going to kind of go over the materials first. It does tend to get to be a little messy and a little cluttered, so I tried to create a nice space here where everybody could see. So there's two views here. What we need, obviously, first we're going to need paint, acrylic paint. You can get this Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, online. This is a good just basic acrylic paint. Floetrol, this big giant thing. Let me see if I put this over here so everybody can see it better. Home Depot, Lowe's. This is what helps the paint kind of become more fluid. Other people have used Elmer's glue as well, so that is also an option, but I love to use the Floetrol. I kind of go through this a lot, and they also sell these in half gallons too, so there's a smaller version of this as well. Just some water on the side, which we're going to mix with the paint and the Floetrol as well. Canvases, something to stir the paint with, so I like to use plastic knives. It's just easier. I found they're nice and steady. I can recycle them and reuse them, so these work well. Just regular plastic reusable knives. Cups, and you can use solo cups. You can use, I reuse these because I do this a lot. So I use these little containers here, the condiment containers that I've just gotten off of Amazon throughout the couple years I've been doing this. These are great, especially if you don't want your paint to dry up. And they will keep them in a good state for quite a long time. So these are a great tool to have while you're doing that. Also silicone. Silicone is what's going to give you those cool looking cells that come out in the paint, which I'll show you too. It's kind of hard to describe them without showing you. So this is what you're going to mix into the paint that you mix. So there's that. Also, fun stuff on the side. Torch. If you like to play with fire, just kidding. But this is fun just to bring some of those cells out as you're after you pour. You can also use a hair dryer too. Some people use a hair dryer with the straightening extension on it to blow the paint around on the canvas. Is really cool. So that's an option as well. I have some spatulas to use. You can do a swipe process, which I'm going to show you today too. So you can use these. I like to have just a paintbrush on handy because when it starts to get messy and drip on the sides, I like to fill in the sides of my canvas. And then also on the back of your canvas, I use tacks. They tend to work better than just placing this on like a plastic cup. Because what you want to do is make sure that these stay flat and up and off of the paint. So you can see it right here. So there's this 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch space between the table and the canvas, so it's not going to sit in the paint when we start pouring. And also something to pour over. Obviously, the bigger you work, the bigger you're going to need to have something surrounding your canvas. This is a great size from the dollar store, just one of the turkey pans that you can get for $1. Sometimes they're, I think, 3 for $1. So these are great to have and reuse. All right, so I think I kind of covered everything materials wise. Always paper towels on the side or baby wipes I like to use too, because this process does get very, very messy. So those are always on the side for me. So let's get started. So preparing the canvas, I've already put the pins in the back to save some time. Or the push pins in the back to save some time. But also what you want to do too is to just put a little water on the canvas and wipe it down with a paper towel. This is just kind of getting all the dirt, dust, stuff that kind of collects over time. I know I keep my canvases in the basement, or sometimes when they come from the warehouse, they tend to be a little dusty sometimes. So this kind of gets all those particles and stuff off of it. So you have a nice clean workspace. So there's that. So once I have all those cleaned, I put them to the side. And this is the process that's going to take a little bit of time, is the mixing of the paint. Depends on what I'm mixing. I try to do big batches at the same time so that I have everything filled up for ready to go. So I've already done most of mine. I'm going to do 2 different colors too, so that everybody can see how the process is done and what works for me. There are different ratios of paint to fluid, medium, and water out there. I like to use 1, 1, and 1. So 1 portion of paint, 1 portion of Floetrol, and 1 portion of this just regular water, equal portions. Sometimes I wait to do the water last because some acrylic paints are more fluid than others. So I just kind of add a little bit at a time as soon as I have the paint and the Floetrol mixed. So let me grab a clear plastic cup. So I reuse these all the time too. So if you notice, there's a ton of paint still on them. So I'm gonna mix together the fluorescent red. So what I'm going to do is probably put about an ounce and a half at the bottom of the cup. I start with that first. Then I take the Floetrol. This tends to get a little heavy. Just got a brand new one. I want to shake it sometimes because sometimes it can settle at the top over time too. I just bought this last night, so I know that there's no kind of particles or anything on top of it in the Floetrol right now. So I'm taking the Floetrol and I'm just going to add about the same amount. I kind of eyeball it of Floetrol that there is paint. So it's totally covering it right now. Now I may add more depending on the fluidity of the paint. So we'll see. All right, then I'm going to take a clear one, a clear plastic knife, and I'm just going to stir it. You can kind of see that it takes a little bit to scrape the sides and the bottom because I want to get all of that mixed together. Now, if you're mixing all your colors in one day, it does take a little bit of time. I would give yourself about 45 minutes to an hour to just mix the paints. You can also put saran wrap over the top of them too. It'll keep it fresh for a few days. You may just have to add a little splash of water, but over time it will dry out. So all right, so you can see it's kind of gloppy still, falling off of the knife. So this is when I'm going to add a little bit of water at a time. I want it to run off of the knife, but I don't want all the paint to come off the knife, if that makes any sense. I'll show you. So the paint will coat the plastic knife. See how it's running off? And it's still sticking to the knife too. So it's still coating the knife. Still coating the knife, but it's more fluid now with a little water to it. Now, if I added too much water, you get more of like this clear color there. And we don't want it to run too much. Otherwise it's going to run right off your canvas and not stick. So that's a good fluid motion right there. Okay. Almost done. What you're going to do next is to add a little bit of your silicone. Just a couple drops. This kind of squirts out, so I just do a little squirt. Add that, mix it in. Good to go. So then I just put this to the side for now, and I'm going to do a different color as well so we can go over the process again. Set my clear plastic cup. I'm just going to add about 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces in there of paint. And then I'm just going to get these out of the way so that's not cluttering it up here. Okay, so I'm going to stick with the Floetrol again. I'm going to add it about the same amount. It's covering up. Cap on that. I'm going to grab another plastic knife and mix in that dark blue with the Floetrol. As you can see, it looks light at first, but once you get it mixed in, that Floetrol just disappears. So you have just the paint color, which is nice. The great thing about using the plastic knives too is that serrated edge actually scrapes the side and gets all those chunks of paint, chunks of Floetrol off the sides. That makes it nice and neat. Less stirring in the long run. All right, so it's a little gloppy still, so this is when we add our water a little bit at a time. Just make sure you're getting the bottom too. You want this nice and mixed thoroughly throughout the cup. Great, so we got a good flow off the knife. It's still coating the knife without taking all the paint off. I think we are good there as well. Okay, so once you have all your paint mixed, that's ready to go. Then you can move out your tin or your tray, whatever it is that you're going to be pouring over. I've poured over different cardboard boxes before and just laid the bigger canvases over the top, so you can do that too. I do prep when I'm at home doing this. I do prep a spot in my basement or a spot in the corner somewhere where the paintings aren't going to be touched, or an animal or a child is not going to come around and walk on it or shake it or anything. It's a safe space there. It can just dry, because a lot of times these acrylic paintings take about 2 to 3 days to dry totally. So we are going to do 3 different canvases today with 3 different processes. So I'm going to do a flip cup first, because that's one of my favorite ones to do. So I have my mixed paint. So what I'm going to do is grab another plastic cup. See if I can get one that's more see-through than the other ones. I've used these a lot of times. All right, this one's pretty good. So this is going to be your pouring cup. So this is the one where you're going to mix all your paint in. And by mix, I mean you're going to stack it in your cup. So a lot of times I will do a layer of white to start, because that's the last color that's going to be on top as you pour. A lot of times it looks nice when the cells come through when you finish with the white. So your first color is going to be the last one out, and it's going to be whatever's on top. So I do a nice coat on the bottom. For these purposes, I'm using 8x10 canvas. I find these are really easy to paint. A nice beginner size. Sometimes when you work a little smaller, the amount of paint needs to be adjusted, and it's kind of harder to work on a smaller one at first. So this is a good size to start with, the 8x10. So we'll just grab a couple colors, and you're gonna need about a half a cup, almost 3/4 of a cup of paint. So this is when we get to do the fun stuff. So I'm gonna start just choosing different colors. So I'm trying to show, there we go. So you can squirt it in there. It depends on how much you want to use at a time. I just kind of like to go do the same repetitive colors over again. I like to use cool colors a lot. The blues, the purples, the greens. That's just my favorite colors. I do like to throw in some gold, silver, metallic colors too, because that kind of gets it to sheen a little bit when it dries. Some more white. Just a warning too, using too many dark colors can make it a little overpowering. So if you're using black, which is totally fine, just a little bit goes a long way. So there's that also, there we go. So it's starting to, only got about a 1/4 inch of paint so far. And then I kind of like to change it up, throw some fun colors in there. Over time, these condiment squeeze bottles tend to get clogged. So every once in a while I have to give them a good soak. But you can just take the top off and pour some in there. So get a little more paint. Now I know people also do on the side. You don't want to pour it from such a high stance here. You can pour it down the side of the cup, so it's kind of just sitting on top there. If you pour it from a high stance, it kind of mixes in with the cup. So I don't know if you can see this yet, but some of the colors are starting to mix as I've poured them in there. You can kind of start seeing some cells form on the top already. Also being aware of the color wheel too. If you're going to be using reds and greens, just to let you know, together that makes brown. So maybe splitting them up with a few colors in between. If you don't want that brown, kind of can look a little muddy. So here's some of the stuff I just mixed. It's a little dark, so I'm only going to use a little bit of it. So add a little more white. That's what it's looking like so far. So a little more gold in there. Purple. This guy's clogged. More of this fluorescent pink. Almost done, just a couple more colors, and then we will flip cup. So I'm gonna go with what I have right here. This is just about a half a cup of the solo cup. So I'm gonna put this on the side here. I'm gonna take my canvas. Trying to work from both angles here. Take my canvas, take my cup in one hand. For the flip cup, what you're gonna end up doing, let me grab a blank one here. What you're gonna end up doing is putting your canvas over the top of your pour cup, and then you're gonna flip it. And you're just gonna leave your cup sitting on top of your canvas for a moment so it can all kind of drain down to the bottom. You can also, if you want, use a tack or something to punch a hole into it too, so you can get some of that air in there so it'll fall faster. I reuse these all the time, so I don't tend to do that. I just give it another minute or two for it all to fall. So let's do it. All right, so I have my pour cup here. Pour cup, nice and all mixed in there. And then I'm going to hold on to it carefully. Hold on to it nice and tight. I'm just gonna flip it. Okay, so it kind of creates its own seal. You can too, if you want, you can do some white onto the canvas here to help it flow off as your paint comes out when you pull it up. I think with the amount of paint I use, I don't really need it, but I'll just show you. I do this a lot on the bigger pieces or on the different process, like this, like the flip and drive, which I'm going to do, which is super fun. So I just add a little white on the side, or you can do a different color too if you want a different base coat. I end up using a lot of white, so I usually have 2 of these mixed and ready to go when I'm actually working at home. So I can use spatula just to spread that out evenly around the cup. So it is touching the cup. A lot of times some of these canvases that you get in the bulk packs, I gesso them before I use them a lot of times because sometimes the paint doesn't stick at first. But this one's been already done, so this process helps that as well. All right, is everybody ready? This is the fun part. All right, I'll make sure it's good at the camera here. So what I'm gonna do is just lift up my cup, watch it flow. See how you got. See if I can get that closer so everybody can see it. All right, so see, you can kind of see a lot of cells coming through here. These little round shapes. They almost look, biological. You can see all of our colors coming through. It looks like the white and the black mix, so there's some gray in there. So I'm just going to set the camera back down. There we go. And this is the fun part as well. You can pick up your canvas and you can move it around. See, I like this part, so I don't want that part to fall off the canvas. So I'm just kind of try to maneuver the canvas a little bit each way. You are going to get dirty in this part. It's going to come off the canvas on your fingers, which is totally fine. Just to forewarn you. So make sure you're wearing old clothes. Somehow that paint gets everywhere. So as you can see, I kind of like this pattern I have going so far, so I don't want too much of it to fall off. I'm making sure it stays level on here too. Sometimes with these baking trays, there's little humps at the bottom. So I just want that to sit flat, so I have to kind of maneuver the canvas. So there is a little bit left in my cup. And the cups kind of look cool. I don't know if you can see with the lighting here. But there's a little bit of paint left in the cup. So I will just gonna go through here and just kind of get these edges. And it'll help some of that paint flow a little better off the sides. Now I like to make sure the full canvas is covered before I start using the other tools like the spatulas, or sometimes I brought a straw with me too, because sometimes blowing the paint actually makes it look really, really neat, just depending what you've poured. So I got all 4 corners basically covered. And there is a ton of cells. Let's see if I can bring this close again. It's turning by itself. There we go. So you can see there's a ton of cells already forming. I might just do a very, very light cover with the torch. Now my torch that I have here is just a creme brulee torch that I ordered off of Amazon for, I think it was like 10 or 15 bucks. It's great. It's so much fun.